Hello again, everyone. I'm Katie Silverwings. I'm a glassblower and textile artist, originally from Texas, now living in the UK and studying glassblowing at the University for Creative Arts here in Farnham, where I am hanging out in my nest because, stay in your homes, please, people. And just give me a moment to get this video sent to my dad because he always has a little bit of trouble finding when I'm doing this, and he likes to watch. But I hope you are all having a lovely day, and wherever you happen to be. It's been raining and drizzling a little bit here. I don't actually mind that much just because it gets so hot in my apartment when it's sunny. But in any case, I will be working on my patchwork banner again today. I'm really excited because today I will be sewing the last strips onto these little bitty log cabin blocks, and I will be then starting, hi Lupe, I will then be starting on the other blocks that are going to go into this banner, and I'm really excited about the design on those. So as soon as I get these done, I will be starting on that. So exciting things today. I hope you are all having a good day and that I can be a pleasant distraction for you for a while. Again, I'm not sure why the last couple of days, the last couple of times I've done the live stream, it'll get to a point where I think the video is going just fine, and then it'll have this glitchy thing it does every few seconds, and I hope that is not going to bother you too much, but if it's there, do let me know if that's showing up on your screens as well, because I may need to do some technical stuff that I still am learning how to do on all of this. I know part of the problem is probably that I'm still just using the camera that came with my on my computer as opposed to actually getting a webcam set up and using streaming keys and all of that lovely stuff that is very technical. But in any case, I've got these all pinned up and ready to sew. So I'm just going to go ahead and get to that. And again, for anybody who's new to this, if this is your first time watching me, then hi, welcome. Also, introduction, if you haven't met her before, this is my sewing machine. I call her Gertrude. She's a 1924 Singer 99 hand crank machine, and I love working with her so much. The things you find in charity shops, But in any case, I'm going to get started doing some sewing, and yeah. I am very glad that I have the sewing to do because I have been working on my essay type project all day and my eyes are starting to go crazy from staring at all the pictures on my computer and trying to move them into places. But I'm getting there. And as always, I remove the pins as I go because I don't want to sew over them. And as always, if you do enjoy this, watching me sew and generally talk in your abstract direction, and you know anybody who might want to see this, please feel free to share it with them. I'm still learning how to do that, and I do need to, let's see. I go from this other tab. I have too many tabs up on my computer, I think, right now. But just a moment. I always have to go through, because not all of my people in my family who I am friends with on Facebook also follow my page, so they don't always know when I'm doing these, and I've had some requests to make sure I share it. So got that all sorted, and now back to sewing, because that is so much easier than technology. And as always, if you have any question, comments, things you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to leave a comment in the side. And when I happen to notice it, I will respond to you. Because I do this partially so that I can have the illusion of having social contact with people. So I do tend to be very conversational. And if you are talking to me in the comments, I will most likely be responding on and off between time lag and things. See that there are people watching somewhere in the world, and that's nice to know. I'm still figuring out how a lot of this works, but so far so good on the streams. I was going to do this yesterday, but then I realized, oh hey, I've been working on my essay all day and it's dark now, and maybe I should probably get dinner. So I kind of just completely glossed over the time I would normally be doing this because I was distracted by the schoolwork I have that's due next week. So. But that's project is at a stage where I am just going through and adding in images and captions to things. So it's taking forever because there's a lot of stuff I need to add into it, but I'm not actively writing it really now. I'm waiting for my professor to get back to me about the draft that I sent him, so. Hello from Memphis, Mother. I see, just a moment. When I shared this to my friends and family, I have 2 different comment streams going on here now. So hello, Mother. I can see your comment. Hi. Glad you're enjoying this. I hope the weather in Memphis has gotten better. Technology is weird. I'm never going to get used to all this stuff. But hey, I know people can see me. So hello, people who are watching me. I hope you are having a nice day. I'm still sewing these. I have this many more left to go, plus 1. I'll get them done today, though. I'm so excited I'm going to be done with these blocks. And then I can work out how big my other component blocks for this design have to be, which is going to be exciting. Sunny and warm in Floydada. Nice to hear about that. I'm glad you have nice weather. I know it's getting close to storm season there, isn't it? I will say being ambidextrous is very helpful when it comes to sewing with this machine. Because normally I would be using both hands I would be using a foot pedal and I would be using both hands to guide the fabric through and take pins out. But with Gertrude, I have to do most of the work left-handed. It's actually kind of the opposite from when I'm doing glass blowing, because when I'm doing that, this is the hand that has all the tools and does all the detailed movements, and this hand is going back and forth, keeping things moving. With this sewing machine, it's the opposite. So when I'm actually allowed to be in a glass blowing studio as well, I kind of keep balanced between my two hands and what motions they're used to doing. But here it's more of a right hand doing all the power and left hand doing all the pin pulling. But it works. Thank you, Mother, very much for the ambidextrous jeans. I use them often. Let's close a few things there so I can actually see y'all. Of course, the fun part after I get all these sewn and pressed is that I'm going to have to go through and trim them down back to squares again, because some of them are going to be slightly off here and there, and they need to be nice, neat little squares so that I can sew them together and not have things get all completely off in my seams. Especially because I'm going to be pairing these with a different kind of block that's going to be a different size. So all the measurements need to line up for that. Getting there. I'm going to tilt this so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. There we go. Now you can see my pile of blocks that have been sewn over in the corner here. You can also see some other things up here, which let me show you this. Let's see, where is it? There it is. So for those of you who saw when I was doing the live streams of my glass pieces, let me just show you, take a break from turning this real quick so I can show you. This is one of my first group of glass birds that I made. This one is a hummingbird. I am keeping it most likely forever because I absolutely love how his cute little face turned out. He's got a nice colored swirl in his body, and his tail has this nice pinched sort of pattern on it. I love making these little birds. I borrowed the crimping tool for the tail from another glass blower in the studio. Her name's Arena. She's lovely. I don't know if she ever sees this, but she's lovely. And someday when I can get back into a hot shop, I am getting my own set of crimps because I like crimping the tails on the little birds. It just makes them so cute. And I really do want to do a project someday where I just make a ton of little glass birds and fill a space with them because they're just so much fun to make. Anyway, little glass thing at the moment. And now back to our regularly scheduled sewing. Yeah, you can see the pile I'm working from here now. Well, it looks like we're in for something fun today. My bobbin just ran out. So, give me a moment to move my blocks out of the way. All right, so as usual, I have run out of bobbin thread, so I'm going to have to fix that. Blocks are all moved. And to do that, I have to rethread my sewing machine. First, I have to unhook here, and then I have to unthread all of this. Because my machine Gertrude has a very specific way she likes her thread to be handled when doing bobbin winding. So it goes up through here, across this little screw guide, back through down here, and it kind of crosses over. And then it comes back up and into the area where the bobbin goes. Let me get my bobbin out. So she's a top-loading bobbin winder. And I know some of you have seen this before, but there's the bobbin. It has a little hole in it that a pin sits in to set it up in the machine. And it has another little hole that the thread goes through. So first I thread the bobbin with a little bit of thread. And then I install it here. Push this down. And now I'm going to turn Gertrude so you can see what I'm doing to some extent. All right, she's nice and sturdy there. Okay, so I'm going to start by take that, and then I take my snips and clip this little bit of extra thread. And now, let's see, if I move this container of things and move Gertrude here so you can actually kind of see the bobbin mechanism a bit better. So now, come on. There's a certain way of undoing here so that her needle doesn't engage. But in any case, and now I just turn this until it stops winding. Someday I will have different angles set up here so that you can really see what's going on. But right now I'm just using one hand to hold the sewing machine down. Just gonna and try and get this to unlock. There we go. So ideally you get this inner bit on the end here to untwist. There we go. So that it doesn't engage the needle while you're working, but I've yet to be able to get Gertrude to really go for that. I think what may be happening is that I'm winding my bobbins backwards, but I'm not sure. In any case, lots of bobbin winding going on today. Because my table here is a little bit unsteady, this does make the whole thing shake, but if I don't hold her down, she wobbles. Of course, modern machines have a foot pedal, so you just press on it, or they have automatic bobbin winders where you just set up the threads and then press a button and it winds it until the bobbin's full. This is part of my daily workout. There we go. And of course, she tells me when she's done. So now I slide Gertrude back over here so that I can reach her. And set all the rest of this back up. And I take the bobbin off. And I use the thread cutter back here to cut the bobbin. And there you see, my bobbin is now full thread. Let's see if I can do the thing so you can see it better. There we go, bobbin. So that goes back into Gertrude's bobbin case and around. And now I unthread this, re-thread it through everything the other way. And use my needle threader to thread the needle, because I use a fine needle for this particular fabric so it doesn't leave big holes as it's sewing, but that also means it's a lot harder to get a thread through when I'm trying to thread it. So it's much easier if I use my little needle threader to just pluck the thread through. And this thread goes under here, and I just engage this up and down to pop up that bobbin thread. So both threads are on the surface. And there we are, ready to start sewing again. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, I was sewing this block. So now I'm just going to hold those threads down while I start sewing to make sure that they are not going to disappear off the end. And just continue sewing as usual. And make sure my seams are straight. And there we go. So I just need to get the rest of these done. last one. And now to sit here and snip all of these apart. So if you are interested in asking me questions, hearing my opinions on stuff, generally talking to me, this is a good time for it because it does take me a little while to go through and snip all the blocks. And as usual, when I see comments in the side, I will respond to them. So if my connection is lagging and that's why I'm not seeing anything, then we'll just apologize to anybody who has left me a comment that I haven't seen yet. But in any case, snip. I do like these little snips. And I am so looking forward to the day when I can tell y'all, hey, I finished my essay and it's ready to turn in, because I am kind of sick of what I'm working on. I really like the stuff I've researched and I enjoy the subject matter. It's just the process of turning it all into a written document is kind of driving me crazy. I'm sure any of you who also are facing distance school deadlines know my pain there. I've just been working on this. So how have I been? It's been a few days since you've said hello. Yes, Lupe, it has been a while. I've been good. I didn't end up live streaming yesterday because I got caught up in what I was working on. But yeah, pretty much status quo here. I'm still in my house. I'm still in England. Still working on that essay, but I should be done with it relatively soon. I hope things have been equally pleasant and not awful for you and yeah, and anybody else watching. Nothing really changes all that much when you live alone and you don't leave your house. Working and fishing sounds like a good combination of things. I'm really envious that you're in a position where you can get away and fish. The things I miss about living in a rural area having it be easier to go outside. So yes, everything is all sewn and clipped apart. And now I just need to press them and then these blocks will be done. Well, done except for the whole trimming them thing. So I will turn you back around so you can see the lovely view outside my window. It's not very sunny today. It's been kind of drizzly, but I actually kind of don't mind that because my house holds heat. So when it's a little bit just the right amount of drizzly outside, it's actually quite pleasant in here. And since I'm not going outside right now, pleasant temperatures inside are helpful. Hopefully I will actually be able to work with my yarn today without having to have the window open because it's a little bit wet out there and I don't want my friendly neighborhood outside spiders to decide they want to become inside spiders. Anyway, I'm just gonna set these up and press them. Oh, these are so pretty. I'm always happy to get to share this little part of my work with y'all because this is the fun stuff. This is what I enjoy doing. I wish I could show you more of what it's like when I'm working on the glass, and hopefully I will once I've finished my schoolwork. And there's the first one. I'm so excited with these. These turned out so nice. So anyway, I have some video clips different people have made for me of me working that hopefully I will be able to go through and edit into some form of a video in the near future, but I have not had time for that. And since it's not a required part of my schoolwork, I can't justify spending the amount of time on it that I would need to. There's another one. Try to use this way so they're easier to set down. And as usual, I am pressing my seams away from the center of these blocks so that they will lie nice and flat. I had originally planned on potentially doing a third row of strips on these, but because with this banner, I really want to match the glass pieces that I made, which I will show you one of those up next one of these once I'm done pressing. I have decided I'm just going to keep them as small 2-bar round blocks. What do you think? I really like how these have come out. There's the front. On this one, I'll show you, those are all the seams at the back that I've been sewing, and you can see how they're all neatly pressed down away from the center block. I really like how this blue strip here looks. I'm gonna hold this one up close so y'all can see all the lovely patterns in these fabrics. Oh my goodness, I love these fabrics. I did go in and dye these myself. They're all hand dyed, mostly with either an ice dye or a tie dye method. I love dyeing fabric, and it does mean that I can just get white yardage and turn it into whatever color I want, which in the future, when I'm making things for specific locations or orders or to match certain things, being able to get to dye my fabric and get it to whatever color I want without having to go through hunting stuff down is going to be quite nice. Plus, it's just so satisfying. All right. And there's the last one. 34 log cabin blocks, all done and pressed. Let me grab my piece of glass real quick so I can show you. This is what these are meant to match. So if I can get this turned around the same way. There we go. So this, let's see if I can hold it up in front of the window so you can see a little bit of the translucent. No. So this is one of the glass Marini tiles that I made in this pattern. And here's the fabric version. Let's see if I come this way. What do you think, guys? I think they're actually a pretty good match. So ideally, when I finally get a chance to make glass pieces out of this tile and all of its friends, finished with this set of blocks, yes. So eventually I'll have this banner hanging behind glass pieces made with this. But for right now, I am done with these particular blocks. I think I'll trim them. I'm just going to measure one real quick and see where I stand with it on size. And yeah, they should all be right in that 5.5 inch mark that I want them to be at, which is good. Which means that my So I have to think through what size my blocks that are going to go with these are going to be, because there we go, there's that. So this is sitting at 10.5. Excellent. So yes, I want 10.5-inch blocks for the next thing that I'm doing. Great. So I'm going to be making some blocks to pair with these. And let me grab my sketch so I can show you what I'm doing. So this is not the exact sketch that I'm working from, but this is pretty close. So as you can see, I've got all the small log cabin blocks, and then I'll be putting these larger blocks in this variable star pattern in with them. So in order to do this, I had to know how big 2 of these across were. So yeah, this is one of the ways that I design my banners and things. So now I just need to get my reference book. And see, so this is a book of quilt charts that I use. And this book has all of this is how big these components need to be in order to make specific blocks, common blocks and things. So let's see, I've got, what am I looking for? I'm looking for variable star. This book calls it a sawtooth star. So this is the pattern that I'm using for the other blocks that'll go into this quilt or wall hanging thing. And this is going to be a 10-inch just have to double check. I'm going to make one of these as a test just to make sure I'm making them correctly, and then tomorrow or the next time I do one of these live streams, I'll come in and do the rest of it. So I'm going to need this. And for this test block, I'm going to use some of my offcuts of fabric if I can, but I want this to be 10-inch. So I need some bits of fabric to test this out with. I'm going to use solids for this one, just since it's going to end up in my sampler quilt eventually. All right, so I've got a solid blue that's light and a solid blue that's dark, and these are going to be what I use for this particular test block. So because I am just making one block, I'm going to just use my rotary cutter for this. So first I need, the first piece I need is the big piece, and that's going to be the dark blue. And it needs to be 5.5 inches wide. So I line up my quilting ruler to 5.5 inches, which I'm going to have to trim this once I cut it. Take my handy dandy rotary cutter, just like a pizza cutter, but for fabric. And Trim one way, trim the other way. And set this piece of fabric aside. Actually, this is going to be my sample block. I might as well do this with patterned fabrics. So I'll put these pieces aside for later and get my patterned fabrics out because I do like those. Yes, I know, designing on the fly, but let's see. So, where was I? Ah, yes. I need a 5.5 inch wide piece of this gorgeous fabric. This is one that I overdyed. So this is a commercially printed piece of cotton fabric that I got and have used for some things in previous projects. And I just need to cut a 5 1/2 inch square out of it. All right, so there's that. Since this is a sample block, I do want it to be something nice that I can use in a certain sampler quilt that I'm going to be assembling after I'm done with this project. So there is my 5.5 inch wide square. These big squares are the reason I wanted to use this pattern, so I can really show off some of these lovely ice-dyed fabrics. So there's that, and I'm going to do what I always do and just kind of pin the pieces up onto my board back here as I get them cut so I can find them. So next I need of my other red fabric, which is this one. This is another commercial print that I've overdyed, and it is stripy. And I do like the stripes in it. There's the side I've already cut from. I need to cut a 6 1/4 inch wide square. This one, my rotary cutter was a little bit off, so I'm just going to go in with scissors to make sure that this last bit is snipped. There we go. And I'm just really quickly going to turn this and trim the selvage off to that 6.5 inch mark, or 6 1/4. So there is my 6 1/4 inch square. And this square is actually going to then be cut later into smaller triangles, but I will do that in a minute after I get done with this. And then I need to cut 4 3-inch wide squares. And to do that, I can actually just cut one 6-inch wide square and cut it into quarters. So I'm going to once again line up my ruler. To the correct point. And that's all I'm going to need of this. And then I'm just going to come down and make sure I've got this lined up right at 6. And trim my selvage off. And so there's the 6-inch square. So the 6-inch square I'm going to cut into 2 3-inch rectangles. And then each of those I'm going to cut into 3-inch squares. So there are my 3-inch wide squares. Whoop. And now I'm going to take down my 6.5-inch or 6 1/4 inch square, and I'm going to use one of my other rulers, if I can get to it, to cut it down into 4 triangles. So there's that. And now I can go back to using my smaller ruler, because my smaller ruler has a right angle on it, so I can line up neatly. For these more complicated patterns, neatness of cutting leads to nice, neat, straight seams and blocks. So it is important. So there are my triangles. And then out of the white, I need to cut 4 3 3/8 inch wide squares. And this is the white fabric I'm using. It has a lovely little triangles in it. And actually I need to check my, do I have any of this fabric in appropriate sizes? No, don't think so. No, too small. So to do this, I absolutely love this white triangle fabric. I have a block of the month quilt that I'm working on where I get sent a pattern every month, and that is what I'm using. I love this fabric so much, I'm using it for the background or for the backing of that quilt. All right, so I'm actually going to line up and cut this as a strip and then cut these out from it, I think. So to do that, I'm actually going to get a different ruler down, which is this one. I'm actually going to just go ahead and reorganize my rulers while I'm up here because I like this triangle one better. There we go. So I'm going to need to move these things over here. So the way this works, I take this ruler and I line it up. First, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the selvage off with it so I have a nice straight line to work from. Of course, this is going to be a little bit difficult. Here's my scissors. So the reason I'm cutting these fabrics instead of tearing them like I normally would is because they are prints, and prints have a different way in which the fabric works. They have dye and they have pigment inks with a binder that are on certain threads, which means that they want to tear. They don't like tearing nicely like my flat plain cotton does. So now I'm going to measure to 3 3/8 inches. Double check that that's what this requires. Yes. 3 3/8. And then lay this ruler on, press firmly, and glide along with my rotary cutter. Yay. So now I can put this fabric back over here. And now I can cut squares from this. I can put up this ruler. And I'll start by lining up and neatening the edge so it's not all scraggly. And now cut out 4 of these. 1. I'm going to put it this way so you can see what I'm doing without me being in the way. 2. 3. So I'm going to put this in my basket of scraps, and you can see this better close, just how nice this fabric is. I just love these little triangles. I don't know why, they just make me happy. So now these all need to be cut into triangles. So once again, I'm going to use that 45-degree line on this ruler to line things up between the 2 corners, and I'm just going to cut right along the center of each square. Okay, so now I have triangles. So now I'm going to take all of these pieces down because it is time to start pinning things. So the first things I need to pin together actually are these. So I'm going to put my rotary cutter, ruler, and scissors away for the moment. And set this back where it belongs and get my pins out. So the long sides of the 2 triangles go together. Get lined up. And pin together. So that's first one ready. When I do these as the actual blocks, I will probably do these a slightly different way. Because there are much easier methods to make lots of these units, all of this particular composite unit, in a much faster way, especially if I'm making a whole bunch of them, than sewing them together individually. But for this test, doing them individually will be fine. All right, so now that all of these are ready, I'm going to move these. I'm going to sew them, so come with me over to the sewing machine. As you can see, I've got all of my little bits here, and I'm just going to sew those real quick. All right, so now I'm going to go back over and press these. Y'all know this dance? Whee! Put this out of the way. And for this block, I'm going to press all the seams open. So there's the first one. You can see what I mean when I mentioned how slow it would be if I was making one block at a time for these banners. This is why. But I need to know how this block is going to behave, whether this is going to be the right size before I go in and make all of them and then have them end up being the wrong size, because that would not be good. So now I'm going to take these and pin the next unit to them, which is the other triangle. The funny thing with this is that the triangles are all going opposite directions on this, so that's cool. All right, and there they are, ready to be sewn, which means back around to the sewing machine we go. And there we have the 4 units. And I just need to press these and pin the next bits to them. Again, bear with me, guys. There's a lot of back and forth going on with this text block. And there's the completed Flying Goose unit. Not kidding, that's what the name of this sort of component block is. And there's the last one. So now I'm going to take these and get them pinned to the next bits. So 2 of them are going to get pinned onto this. And 2 of them, let me double check. Yeah. And 2 of them are going to get squares on the corners. So start with this one. And I'm going to go ahead and pin the other side of this block as well. So there's that one. You can see that's all pinned. And now I'm going to take down my little squares. And those are going to get pinned one onto either side of this larger unit. And there's that one, pinned and ready. And there's that one. So now, take these over to the sewing machine, turn you around, and sew these seams. Now I've sewn that seam a little bit too close to the edge, so I'm just going to take that out. Let's try that again. using the correct side of the sewing machine to get the desired seam allowance. There we go. And I'm clipping these apart as I go because I'm doing 2 seams on each one. So there's the first one. Little preview. Ta-da! All right. And now, yes, you're right. Back around to press these 3 sections, and then I will do my last 2 seams for them. So with these seams going onto the center block, I'm going to press them towards the center. Helps if I turn the iron on. And the reason I'm pressing towards the center on this block is because I'm going to press towards the squares on the other 2 units so that when I line these up to pin, the seams will nest together neatly. So there is the center. And there's one side. So now I'm going to press these two sides, or I'm going to pin these two sides to the middle. And then I just have 2 more seams to sew. And then I can measure this and see if I'm going to have to do some creative piecing, or if I'm going to have to do some math to get my finals done. So I can nest all of my seams neatly together here. There we go. There's one. Two. Three pins in that side. I'm gonna need some more pins. One. Three pins in that side. So there's that side. What did I think about the pics of our hometown? Oh, I liked them. Darty seems to be pretty much right as I left it for the most part. Flat, mostly empty, but still pleasant. So now I'm going to sew these last 2 seams. Once I get the hang of the quilt designing software I'm using, I might actually use some of those photos as inspiration for a thing I'm working on. So thank you. Yeah, you're right. Nothing really changes all that much around there. I mean, things disappear somewhat or go empty, but for the most part, it's kind of just always that way, which is kind of nice in a way. I mean, granted, I've heard Dad's stories about what it used to be like back when he was growing up, and there was an actual school there, and a bunch of people, and churches, and a grocery store, and all that, and it's just not in my experience, but it used to be a place. It's still a place. It's just a much smaller place. It still kind of gets to me when I do, back before I was asked to stay in my house. Anytime I've been up to London, the fact that there's more people on the average train going to London than there are in my hometown, or for that matter, on the average train in the tube, there's probably more people than are in the entirety of Floyd County. But all right, done. Just have to press this open and measure it, and then I'm going to be done with this block. Excellent. And it turned out nice. Good. So now once again, I'm going to press these seams towards the middle. So that'll be nice and neat. You know, it would help if I keep forgetting to turn the iron on today. Having a hot iron definitely makes pressing things easier. There we go. All done. So this is the block. Isn't that pretty? I really like this particular block because I can show off the patterns of the fabric a bit more. That's nice. I'm pleased with that. So now to see how big this block is and whether I'm going to have to do some math before I make the ones for the actual banner. And it comes out to, all right, that set of measurements does come out to almost 10.5. I think if I'd actually been a little bit more careful with my cutting and piecing, I would be spot on. So that's great. So yeah, I'm going to show you this again because again, I'm quite pleased with it. You can really see the patterns in these, which is part of why I want to use them. So there's that. And I am going to wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time it happens to be where you are. Remember, there's always going to be things that are not so good in this world, and we're all going to be stuck having to deal with some tough situations for a while still, but there is always hope and there's always beautiful things. You just have to look for them. Kind of like finding ways, if you're stuck in one place, to remember that you can find there's a good thing in it. Or in just finding things that are positive distractions. Like for me, that is making quilts and stuff, even though it's part of my schoolwork. This is also what I do to keep my sanity. So I hope that you keep going with whatever it is you're having to deal with. You will get through this. We all will. It might take a while. It might be hard, but we will get through this. So bye, everybody. See you next time. And of course, remember, just before I end the video, if you want to see more of these videos from me, like and follow my page, and you'll get a notification when I'm live streaming. No pressure, but if you want to see when these are happening, because they're not always at the same time of day, that's the easiest way to do it. Bye, everybody.